Welcome back to the channel, my friends. Warhammer Man Studios. I'm Warhammer Man, and today we're taking a look at this week's official prices. This video is sponsored by CMO Games. More on that later. Alright, so we got this week's official prices for the recently announced pre-orders. Got a bunch of good stuff here. We're going to be doing USD and Canadian as well. And I got to start off by saying that, I'm slightly annoyed by Games Workshop. It's oftentimes that they sneak in, these price increases. But most of the time, it's, not nearly this obvious. But the fact that they're, releasing the Kill Team stuff alongside the Warcry stuff, and that these boxes have been, kind of paralleled, and the prices have matched up. And now that Warcry is clearly not performing as well as they hope, and Kill Team has been, selling extremely well, they're just, straight up doing this price increases side by side. And it's, blatantly obvious because of the different prices. So, that being said, we'll jump right in, and I'll show you guys what I'm talking about. So starting off with Kill Team Nightmare. So very cool box set. We have the new Night Lords against the Drukhari Mandrakes. And then of course we have all the cards, the book, and then the new terrain piece as well. The previous set, Kill Team Salvation, which came out less than 3 months ago basically. That set was priced at $130. We're now seeing Games Workshop has increased the price from $130. It's up to $140 now. So $130 price tag, a $10 price increase up to $140. So it's not quite 10%. $13 would be 10%, but it's very close. So this is a blatant stealth price increase where Games Workshop essentially just releases a very similar box or the same product, but just raises the price without offering any additional value. And then also for our Canadian friends out there, it's 170 Canadian dollars for this box set. Now, don't get me wrong, this is a super cool box. I'm definitely excited for it, but just seeing that they have raised the price $10 is definitely a little gut punch. I know there's a lot of people out there that already feel like Games Workshop is extremely expensive. It definitely is, and I'm not downplaying that at all. But when GW broke up the big box in order to make the two smaller boxes, one with the terrain set and then one with the Kill Team's book and then a single piece of terrain, that was already a massive price increase because the previous box was $220. Or less in some cases, $185 if it didn't include the full rulebook. And then the individual boxes were priced at $130 and $125. So they basically raised the price from $185 to $255 if you bought both. And now it's going from $185 to $265 if you bought both. So that would be the equivalence of if you bought this box set and then the Beta Decima terrain set. So even though this is technically about an 8% price increase or somewhere around there, not quite 10, when you look at it based on what they were previously offering as a product before this new style of boxes came out compared to right now, this is actually a massive price increase that Games Workshop has put in on Kill Team. Not because they're offering anything more, but specifically because they know they can get away with it. So in my opinion, it's a real shame, and I hate to see such a massive price increase in such a short period of time, and then on top of that, them to sneak in another $10. But in the end, the people that really suffer are the people who play the skirmish games, specifically Kill Team. So that being said, $140 USD for this set and $170 Canadian. All right, and then we have the Warcry, Pyre, and Flood. And again, this is why it's just blatantly obvious because essentially these boxes mirror each other. They both come with your card sacks. They both come with your book, one terrain piece, and two warbands or kill teams. And this one, although they recently broke up the box sets and did the terrain separate from the warbands, similar to what I was saying for Kill Team, so they got that price increase. This did not go up in price from the previous box set, which performed poorly. So this one is still priced at $130 USD or $160 Canadian. So happy to see that this one did not get the new price increase, but again, still substantially more expensive than when they were offering the big box sets. So $130 and $170 for Pyre and Flood. All right, and then moving on, we have the individual Warcry warbands from the previous box set that was busted up. So first we have the Wildercorps Hunters, $60 USD or $75 Canadian. And then we have the Gorger Mawpack, $60 USD and $75 Canadian. So again, happy to see that the warbands did not go up in price. All right, and then moving on to the Ravaged Lands terrain sets. Now previously these have come with an actual game board and then also a token set. There's no mention of that specifically in this, so I'm not sure if this is going to be packaged the same as the previous box sets or if this is just going to be the terrain. But there's no mention of it in the description, and it is only the one picture that's shown for each of them, so we don't really know. But these two sets are actually priced differently. So first we have the Ruined Realmshaper. So this is basically the terrain from a last season box set, essentially just packed up separately. We don't know if it's going to actually include the board or the tokens, but this one is priced at $112 USD or 135 Canadian. And then we have the Ruined Spawning Pool, and this one is priced at $85 USD or $100 Canadian. And again, this is an interesting setup right here because this is basically the Scales of Talaxis box set, just missing some of the terrain. And then there's one of the previous box set sprues from last season added in here. So you basically have like this piece and this piece. And then in the Scales of Talaxis box set, there was also like another big piece and then some scatter terrain, a board, and some tokens. This one, we don't know what else is going to be included in it, but it's like the two large pieces. And then it has a different sprue that came in the previous edition and being sold at $85 or $100 Canadian. It's also interesting to see Games Workshop doing like so many different reboxes for like the Warcry terrain sets. Obviously, Warcry is not selling as well as Kill Team or as well as they had hoped, or they would have just raised the price on the Pyre and Flood box as well, and that would have went up to $140. But obviously, they have reached the ceiling as far as like pricing on that stuff because the previous box sets are not selling. The terrain sets are definitely not selling, and just overall, Warcry is becoming increasingly expensive. Now, they're able to get away with it with Kill Team because Kill Team is still like very popular, and the previous Salvation box sold out, as did the Beta Decima terrain set. So again, Games Workshop just pushing the envelope on those prices as much as they can. But now that they're actually reaching the ceiling, we're seeing like the divergence between Warcry prices and Kill Team prices, even though they're following that same kind of cookie cutter release. So very interesting to see Games Workshop recognizing that they have raised prices as much as they can get away with on Warcry, but there's still some margin there for Kill Team, and they are fully taking advantage of it. Now a quick message from today's sponsor. CMO Games has been selling Games Workshop products online for over 20 years. They carry the full line of Games Workshop products, including Warhammer 40,000, Age of Sigmar, Necromunda, Bloodbowl, paint tools, and more. Almost all Games Workshop products are priced at 15% off MSRP. CMO Games takes pre-orders for most Games Workshop products released at their earliest date possible. 12:01 a.m. on Saturday, they go live. Most of these pre-order products are also priced at 15% off MSRP. CMO Games offer free shipping in the US 48 with an order of $50 or more. Their customer service is top-notch and they ship most orders within 24 hours. Visit CMOGames.com using the affiliate link in the description and let them know that you heard about CMO Games from Warhammer Man. Now, back to the video. All right, and then moving on to Bloodbowl, we have the Gnome team. So this one coming out at $50 USD or $60 Canadian. And I don't know if it's just because you get so many models in this set, obviously because they're tiny, but $50 for this seems nice. It's good to see that they're not raising the price any further on like the Blood Bowl stuff. And I really do think this is a cool box set and a cool team. All right, and then we have Spike Journal 17, so $15 USD or $20 Canadian. And then we have the Gnome Pitch and Dugouts first, so $55 USD for the pitch and dugouts, and then $65 Canadian. And then we have the Gnome Dice set. So $20.50 for the Gnome Dice or $26 Canadian. And then finally the Gnome Team Card Pack, $33.50 USD or $38 Canadian. All right, and then next we have the Treeman. So I think this actually like explains a little bit about why we saw the Treeman with like the two different builds previously in like one of the articles or like pictures. He is actually in plastic. So I previously had said I thought that the character and the Treeman were coming in resin, but it does look like the Gnome Treeman is in plastic. And we did see a variable build on him, like the arm was kind of like swapped in a different position or like slightly different. So $42 for the Gnome Treeman or $53 Canadian. And then we have the character Rodney Roachbait, and he is coming in a resin clam pack from like forgeworld expert kit. $36 USD for Rodney Roachbait or $45 Canadian. And then we have the White Dwarf issue 499, $11 for that. And then we've got Deathworlder in paperback, $17.99 USD or $21.99 Canadian. And then finally Shadow of the Eighth in paperback, $17.99 USD or $21.99 Canadian. All right, so that is it for this week's official prices. And I gotta say, I just think it's an absolute shame that Games Workshop broke up the big boxes. I do think it's cool that they did it because they're now able to make like availability better for like the actual kill teams and the people that are after those, because initially that's what I thought it was all about. Basically like too much terrain was being sold in those big boxes and they weren't able to produce enough of like the actual like model kits because people were picking them up for 40K and then also for kill team, and they were just selling out and it was a real pain to get a hold of one. But Games Workshop basically used it as an opportunity to make kill team just substantially more expensive by raising the price massively for like the actual terrain set to $125. And then initially for the actual like kill team boxes with the single piece of terrain and then the addition of the cards and everything like that for $130. So that basically took the price of the boxes from $185 to $255, which is a massive price increase. And the only addition was like the actual cards themselves that were included. So not nearly enough to justify what amounted to like $70 in increased price. And then on top of that, after the last box came out, just in like the last 3 months, they're now raising the price on the actual box set itself from $130 to $140. It's just an absolute shame. And Kill Team, in my opinion, these boxes are becoming less and less value. So in my opinion, regardless of how you look at this is just one more stealth price increase from Games Workshop. While it's good that we didn't see like the broader increase across like the entire range this year as like they had done the previous few years, it's an absolute shame to see how expensive Kill Team is getting. So let me know what you think down below about the price increase on like the Kill Team stuff. And then also I'm curious as to like what you think about them not raising the price on Warcry. It's very obvious that the last couple Warcry sets have not performed nearly as well. And clearly Games Workshop has hit like the price ceiling on this. They've done quite a bit of like questionable stuff over the last couple of years, releasing like very, very redundant amounts of terrain and essentially like flooding the market with like the boarding actions, like indoor terrain sets for Kill Team, and then only releasing like an individual sprue for like the 4 boxes that was different. And then also for Warcry, basically flooding the market with meat trees and only introducing like 1 or 2 new sprues in the sense of like the ruins and stuff like that. So now with Kill Team, they've gone on to like a new setting and new terrain. But with Warcry, we're basically in that same setting, and now they're finally releasing like the actual ruins from like the Talaxis spaceship and everything that we were all expecting last season. So I'm curious to hear how you guys feel about this. If you're feeling like the terrain is redundant, if you're getting tired of the price increases, or if it's like kind of insulting seeing like the 2 boxes start to diverge in price now based on popularity. Always like to hear back from you guys in the comments, and special thanks to CMO Games for sponsoring the video. Check out the link in the description to save 15% on Games Workshop products. That's it for today. Warhammer Man Studios, I'm Warhammer Man, and I think it's a slap in the face from Games Workshop to sneak in another price increase. And I'm out of here.